What's up, guys? All right, so we're back with the 300. Last video that you saw, I changed up my crank angle sensor, and appeared that it fixed the problem that I had with the hesitation of starting, and also the hesitation of when you first just started taking off, and it'll have kind of like that, like you'd be pushing on the gas pedal, and then it'll just be kind of like jerking you, and it's almost like it's not getting fuel or spark or something like that, or something's going on to where it's just not smooth right away and you have your full power. So when I changed the crank angle sensor, I thought it fixed it. It ran really good and everything that day, but now that it's been actually a week or two after driving it, it still does the exact same thing before I switched that crank angle sensor. So now what I think it's got to be is the fuel injectors, because I've done pretty much everything else. So I'm gonna take my fuel injectors out, and I'm gonna go take them to a fuel injector company that is gonna rebuild them. And they said they can do them for about $25 each. Usually they're around like $15 each to rebuild them, but because these are barb style with the hose on it and stuff like that, because actually I like material and it's gonna take a little bit more time to rebuild them, they said it's gonna be $25 per injector, which is just fine, because if you buy them brand new, they're around like $80 per injector, or if you buy rebuilt ones, they're around like $50 to $60. So it's a lot cheaper just to take it down there and have the rebuild ones that came with my car anyways. So yeah, so I'm gonna get started taking these out. So basically I'm just gonna have to move a bunch of stuff on the sides to get to my injectors down there. I'm probably gonna end up taking my intake manifold off as well, because I'm gonna replace the gasket back there, because I want to replace that gasket, or underneath here, because I want to replace the gasket anyways, because it probably needs it done, and it probably never has happened, or it's never been changed out before. So I'm gonna get that done with, and just kind of clean up everything as well, just to make sure everything's still good. If I see any problems with like wiring or something like that, obviously I'll address all that stuff, but it should be, it's gonna take a little bit, but hopefully this will fix the problem. This is pretty much like the last thing that it really could be. So I'm excited to see what it's going to happen when I put new injectors, or my injectors that have been rebuilt, back in there. And that company also told me that they're going to flow test them all after they rebuilt them and make sure they're all flowing at the exact same rate. But yeah, let's get started and see how it goes. Okay, so far I've undid my charge pipe right here. Just kind of been unconnecting stuff from a TPS sensor. Took out my throttle cable, which is right up here. So, and all the bolts I'm taking out, I'm putting them back into where they belong so I don't forget. So also I found that this hose right here goes from my my brake booster to the intake manifold right there, and it goes just like that. So when I took this part off from the intake manifold, you look at the bottom of it, there's a big old crack right there. So that means I had a vacuum leak right there, which I didn't realize before. And also on the other end as well is all cracked. So I haven't replaced this hose yet. It's literally rock hard. So I mean, that makes sense why it's cracked and everything like that. So I could have had a vacuum leak this whole time as well, but which could make sense of why it's not pulling as good all the way through. But regardless, I'm still going to take all this off. I just wanted to mention that as well, that because these cars are so old, all these lines are just so dry rotted, and like they just get so hard and cracked like that. And this was facing the bottom, so I didn't see it at first when it was hooked up. So I'll end up replacing all this too. But yeah, so pretty much a lot of this side I'm almost done. I'm just gonna take off this vacuum hose right here, and then pretty much this side will be almost done, and then I'll work on the other side. as I was doing this side. When I was pulling off this hose, it literally broke completely in half off of the actual nipple up here on intake manifold. So this one's all dry rot as well. This is a radiator bypass hose, or I guess you'd call it that, but it goes just like that. It came on the motor when I bought it. It's not a factory hose, but yeah, it's all dry rotted as well. So just finding some more problems that I'm just gonna have to end up fixing, which is good. That means I won't have these problems later on. I'd rather find them now than later. But I almost have everything taken off this side, and just a few more things, and then I can pop the intake manifold off. Okay, so here's an update. I got all the stuff on the left-hand side all taken off. I got the EGR pipe right there. It's unscrewed, so when I lift this up, I also have this untightened, so this will just come out. Now I just need to take the bolts off to the bottom of the intake manifold, and yeah, it should all come up then after that. So I'm gonna take those bolts out, and then I'll show you how it looks underneath it. Okay, so intake manifold is off, and as you can see, well, the top part of the intake manifold is off, I should say. But now you can see all the injectors and get to all of them. To take the top intake manifold off, there's just a couple of bolts that are behind this top cover right here. You take the cover off, and then here's the intake manifold, and all the bolts are right there. And then the whole thing comes off. But now that it's off, this gasket, I'm gonna clean this up. I'm probably gonna take the lower intake manifold off as well, and then replace that, and take the injectors out and go get those rebuilt, replace all the lines back here, clean it all up, and then put it all back together. Okay, so as you can see, I took that fuel rail off. I did get it sent out, and I got all the injectors rebuilt. And then as I was taking all the bolts off the lower intake manifold, one of them all the way in the back part of it, right into that one right there, that bolt head actually stripped off. So the bolt's still in there, so I can't take that manifold off. So I did buy a screw extractor. So hopefully that'll work to get that bolt out. But once I get that bolt out, then I can pop this out and start cleaning it all, replace the gaskets, and then start putting it all back together. Let me go over to the fuel rail. So this is what all the fuel injectors look like, all done. I went to AUS injection, and they rebuilt every single injector. So these injectors from factory flow at 260 cc's. Once they were done, they actually got them to flow at 280 cc's, so they're a little bit more, which is good. Also, too, that company, they said that as far as like our 300ZX Z31s are like, it's hard to find different injectors and stuff like that, like upgraded ones. So when you want to make more power, what they can do is actually rebuild the internals of these to flow whatever cc's you want. So you can always use your stock fuel rail and everything like that, and you can just have them rebuild these to like 600,000 cc injectors, which is pretty cool. And I did not know that they can actually do that, but now that I know, makes it like super easy now for as far as fuel system wise, if I ever wanted to upgrade and actually make more power. So, which I'm going to eventually end up doing anyways. So, but anyways, they all look really good. They replaced all the hoses and everything like that. So those are all set. But now what I'm going to do is try to get that bolt out so I can get that lower intake manifold off. And if I can't get that bolt out, I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do, but hopefully I can. But if I can't, then I guess we'll just go from there. But anyways, let me try to get this bolt out, and then I'll update you in a sec. Okay, so I couldn't get that bolt out that's right there. It just wasn't working. It was too stuck in there. So, but luckily that I didn't need to take it out to get the manifold off, but the manifold was extremely stuck on here. So I had all, obviously I had all 8 bolts and nuts off, and this manifold was stuck on there so much that I literally had to use a huge pry bar to get underneath it. So I removed my valve covers and then I had to use the pry bar to get underneath it and literally pry the thing up, because it pretty much got rusted on that bolt right there and a couple of the other ones where it was just not moving at all. So it took me quite a while. Like I was probably went at it for like a good 2 hours, 3 separate times to try to get it off, and I failed, and then I finally got it off with a huge breaker bar, and it was literally a pain in the ass. But anyways, here it is. So that's what it looks like. It's all pretty dirty right now, but obviously I'm gonna clean it up. And then also down here, as you can see, it is literally disgusting in here. So I'm gonna clean up all this area, clean up the heads, and then replace any gaskets that need to be replaced. I'm gonna replace the thermostat as well. Also, I'm gonna replace all my hoses for my radiator system. Those are coming in right now, so I just gotta wait for those. And yeah, I'm also gonna repaint the valve covers red, and then I'm also gonna repaint this red as well, just so it looks really good and nice and clean in here. And then yeah, once I get all my parts back, then I'll start putting her all back together, and then hopefully she'll run pretty good. But definitely need to clean this up because it's literally like a handful of crap that's just sitting down there. It's pretty bad. So I'm gonna start cleaning all this up, and I'll set the camera down, let you guys see it a little bit, and then once everything's all cleaned up and I got all my parts coming in, then we'll start putting everything back together. Also, just so you guys know, for the driver's side valve cover, to get it off, one of the bolts is hidden behind here. So what you need to do is loosen your AC compressor and just kind of move it out of the way. And then there's a little hole for the bracket right there. I don't know if you can see that. And then that's how you access that bolt that goes right back there. So yeah, so you don't have to take it completely out. You just kind of have to move it out of the way a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna get working on this, and then we'll update you in a little bit. Okay, so I'm actually going to break this up into 2 parts. So this is be part 1 of doing all this stuff, just because if I leave it all in one video, it'll just take way too long. But just so you can kind of see all the crap, like that's just chunks and chunks and chunks of grease and oil and debris all in this plastic bag right here. And this is kind of what it looks like now. It definitely looks a lot cleaner. I'm not done with it yet, but it's definitely a start. So I got most of the grease off besides where the spark plugs are at. I'm just waiting to get a can of air so I can pull out all the debris in there to get it all out of there, and then I'm gonna end up cleaning around it. Then I'll take the spark plugs out and really get it cleaned up in there. And then when I put the spark plugs back in, and then I can kind of just like degrease everything. And then yeah. So anyways, this could be part 1. Like I said, it's just a lot of work that's going to be coming to this. So I'm going to break it up in a couple different videos just so I can get some videos out to you so you guys know what I'm doing, because I haven't posted a video in like a month now. Just because, like, you know, I was taking this apart, waiting for parts, which I'm still waiting for some parts. But just, you know, like the suspension videos is, it just takes time to do it. So, but when it's all done, it's gonna look super good, and it's gonna be like well worth it. Anyways, so this is part 1. I'll start up part 2 on another day. I gotta get to work. But yeah, hope you guys have a good day, and like and subscribe my videos. And yeah, see you on the next one.